Welcome to the Farmcast. My name is Isabel Drobny here with Casey Andrews at Legacy of the Plains in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Today we'll be talking about initial steps in the Operations Center. So Casey, for a customer, the Operations Center, if someone doesn't know what that is, what would kind of be the first thing you would say?
I think it's just a good platform that John Deere has to help them make better management decisions, because we're bringing along a lot of their agronomic data and machine data. That way we can analyze it, make decisions, but it's also a powerful tool in proper setup, making sure we're setting a proper foundation for recording information.
So the initial steps when someone's getting into the Operations Center, which is basically everything under the Setup tab, that's probably the most important and fundamental part of getting started. But what would you say are things that they need to make sure they're looking at?
I think the first thing we need to do is, if they've had the John Deere system for a while, a 2630, a Gen 4 display, making sure we get their data off of those displays and into the Operations Center. And then what that allows me to do is then go and edit a lot of that information, because unfortunately what happens a lot of times is they make multiple fields, and just one little bit of the name or typo makes a totally separate field.
Yeah.
Or we create several guidance lines that we can narrow down to just one, just because we have different operators in there all the time. So I think making sure we get the data in, then we can go into that Setup tab and start cleaning stuff up and just making sure we're set up for success going into that next year.
Well, when you say cleaning stuff up, I know we do this a lot from a day-to-day, but what are some things that you're just constantly seeing that need to be cleaned up? Like
I talked about already, fields are a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because even if you capitalize the first letter in one and don't on the other one, that's a separate field. Or just if you have two totally different displays that you haven't shared data across, and they just build new information on each one of them, then we have to take all that information and merge it all together, which can seem cumbersome, but I think we have a lot of tips and tricks that we learn from doing this over and over again, that we can help them understand how to go in and do some of that themselves if they feel comfortable with it, or we can even go and tackle that for them if they feel like that brings more value to them.
And setting up a new operations to the Op Center, what is kind of the first thing you need to do? I
want to go through that Setup tab like you were just discussing.
Yes.
Go through land. Land is a great example, cleaning up all the, if they have several boundaries or guidance lines, flags, making sure everything is named properly. That's where I usually start with that. Then there's also products. So taking the time during the off season, put all the different varieties of corn that they have, or any of their herbicides or crop inputs that they have, set that up ahead of time. That way when it goes into the display, it's already pre-built and it's not going to get spelled incorrectly. You can tie some EPA registration numbers to some of that stuff. I think it's just doing a lot better job for bookkeeping, basically.
Yeah.
And then we can set up machine profiles or implement profiles. So a lot of times we forget to put a piece of equipment in a machine, and then we're going and having to redo all the offsets and dimensions and all those measurements. So we can take that time, build all that equipment ahead of time, put those offsets in, and we can save it to every one of the displays. Either wirelessly, we can send it back out, which is preferred, or, they can still use a USB stick if they have a machine that's not connected at this point.
Right. Well, and on the Op Center app, it's nice, too, that you can just scan the barcode, so that can minimize any errors, as I know I've typed in serial numbers, and they sent me one wrong letter, and we couldn't figure out why it wasn't showing up, but just backtracking and rereading that. But in the app, you can take out the app, scan a barcode, and it's uploaded right there pretty fast and easy, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it's also nice too that you can add equipment that is not John Deere into the Operations Center and kind of just manage all of that as well, which is just good for management and seeing where your equipment is, or if it has a modem in it, you can see where it is still.
Absolutely. And it's also nice that no charge to use the ANDA system.
Yeah.
You set it up, but Deere's giving it away as a platform for you to better improve your operation. They see the value in you going and starting with a good clean slate and making sure everything is set up properly, but also being able to get that data back in and analyze it later at no charge. They understand the value it is to your operation and just want them to utilize it.
Well, and a good tool to that the operations center is mainly farm management. You can manage everything, see everything, control your fields, and just make sure everyone and every machine is kind of on the same basis. So if we spend time in the off season or in the wintertime sitting down with us even at a lunch and learn, we can walk them through, make sure everything's how they want it, and try to minimize errors in the future to make sure their data is actually being recorded properly how they want it, to eventually make data-driven decisions based on all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my goal is to make it as easy as possible for them. Like, I want them to pull into a field when it's springtime and they say, this is the easiest it's ever been.
Right.
Like, I helped my operator get this all set up, and it was like so much faster and easier, and like it's all coming back into the ops center the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
And like it's less of a headache for me in the long run.
No, I agree. Well, and I was talking to a customer the other day as well, and they were kind of just talking to me how they take a lot of this data that they're using and they write it all by hand.
Oh yeah.
And
which
or on
like
the
window of the tractor.
No, exactly. And that, there's already a paper can get lost or get spilled water on it. Yes. I know I've done that, and I've ruined an entire paper. But just sitting with that customer, I was like, oh, this can all be exported in a PDF or an Excel file. And if they have data that they want to add to the Excel file that they normally record keep, they can go in and just add another tab or add another column and have all that data in one place. But it kind of minimizes error and just puts everything in one place. Auto-populate probably takes like 3 seconds if you're in good service for that to be exported, which is another very nice tool to help.
Absolutely. And the bad part about like if you start out the season with like the wrong guidance line, it compounds all the way through the rest of the growing season. Because I don't know how many phone calls I get, like we picked the wrong guidance line to start, and then like every single pass after that, like I may have to help support that customer and like coaching them through that on what we like decide to do, and like this is what we need to do. And just if we start out from the very beginning properly, it just makes everybody's life a heck of a lot easier.
Right. Or even if the customer recognizes the issue, it's okay if it's in the middle of the season and you don't have time to stop and fix everything. You can leverage our team. I mean, we've sat through a lot of the harvest season fixing boundaries and whatnot, but it's better to get that fixed when you notice it than wait until the end and all of your data, it's still there, but it might not be the best or to their expectation. So it's nice that it's kind of just like a constantly being edited or can be edited. Even if they don't have time, we can definitely help them.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's also nice is 21st Century starting to utilize Expert Connect.
Yeah.
Like that'll have a record of all those conversations that we've had in the past. That way I know at the end of the year, I know the things that we really need to focus on fixing. Like I know these are all the complications that we truly ran into. So let's get those resolved. That way we set good start for next year.
Well, and with like a lot of the different customers that you worked with, what are some like recommendations or common things that you're seeing that maybe they should pay some extra attention to? Just the land.
Land, like there's just usually way too many guidance lines for what we got a true need for. And like the nice part about the operations center, like one thing that they've requested is being able to bring their equipment in, but I like that they can start with a clean slate because they've accrued in their displays years and years of information. So they can start out with what they truly own on their operation and just get it fine-tuned that way. It's only the things that they own. It's only the products that they're currently using. The tank mixes, I didn't talk about that earlier. We can go and like, that way they're not having to type every single tank or product into that mix and have complications there. They can set that ahead of time and then it's one button and they're ready to rock and roll. Yeah,
and the nice thing too is the more data that they're putting in the operation center on a year-to-year basis, they can compare the data from this year to previous years and see if there's any similarities or areas that might need changes or improvements because it's the same issue that's been happening for the past 3 years or 5 years. So the more that they put an emphasis on getting their data in there, leveraging us if they need assistance and using lunch and learns or whatever, sitting down with them, the more that the data can use yearly comparisons or benefit them to make improvements in the future.
Ultimately, I kind of think the operations center is giving a scorecard to what they did for that particular year. It lets them know, did this fertilizer pass like truly make a difference? Did this changing rate throughout the field like really benefit me, or was it more of a detriment to the crop? I like to use it as kind of that report card of how did everything do and what can we like do differently next year. What are your thoughts on the Operations Center?
I think it's very nice. Well, I think the boundaries is kind of one of the more important things as well. I've gone into customers and seen that they had like 5 different boundaries in the same field. So initially they wanted to split them up by, like, let's say it was an area and they had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They wanted one in each, and then they had just a mass one. So I think just like making sure that the people that are creating the boundaries know what the expectation is, but it's also nice that we have the ability to do that remotely and help them. I think utilizing RDA is a great tool, the remote display access, because it can eliminate a lot of time for us driving out there, or for them being down in the field. We can go and easily see what's going on in the display and get that problem fixed. And I think just using data to make decisions is very valuable, especially as John Deere is moving to more and more technology advancements. Utilizing that data as soon as possible to see where it can help you. And there's so many tools that are in there that make it a lot easier on someone. I mean, you don't have to be an Excel expert, but even just being able to export all that data and use it, read it, see everything that they populate out of there is a great resource and tool for anyone that's using it, and it's, again, free of cost.
And you came aboard with our team in May.
Yeah.
So obviously there's been a little bit of a learning curve, and we're getting you caught up to speed. Like, how comfortable do you feel in a few minutes of being with the team? Like with Operations Center, do you feel good with it now? Has it been an easy process to learn? What are your thoughts on that part of it?
So I think when I first started, I had never logged into the Operations Center. The only time I had seen it prior to kind of the first week was during my interview, when you guys were kind of showing me some of the field maps. But I think just the time that we've spent, me watching videos, me going to trainings, me sitting with a PAC team member and walking through the Operations Center, it is, every time I'm in there, I find a new tool that I utilize. I find a new like trick or exporting data, and it feel like it's very user friendly. And it's also nice that if there's something on there that you don't understand, there's how-to videos that are kind of embedded in the question mark icon. Or if there's something that you're missing there, you can even put in a request to John Deere. So I think if you spend the time, when you have time, just to even read the descriptions, pull up John Deere's YouTube channel, and they have a step-by-step walkthrough. Yeah, I mean, I pull them up in the field too, and I don't know what to do. But I think it's a great tool, and again, leveraging us, we're more than happy to sit down. You guys are more than happy to sit down with me and teach me, and I think we can definitely get customers up to speed if they don't feel like they're there yet.
Yeah, because like usually when we do like some of those one-on-one visits or even the lunch and learns, like we're throwing a lot of material at them.
Yeah.
But like highlighting those videos, like you just said, when they go home and they're like, I don't remember that one little detail, they can always reference that and maybe get them through that little sticking point that otherwise they would have maybe thrown up their hands at. So no, those are very powerful parts too. Where
can you utilize the Operations Center?
So there's a couple different places that we can go to utilize the Operations Center. Like there's a web version, so you could go on your laptop or a computer there at your house, log in, and use a lot of these tools, like that setup tool, some machinery analyzer, like all those different things we can go on there. But also I can go on my phone. You kind of talked about that earlier too. Like there's a lot of information, and they keep releasing more and more features on that mobile version that these customers have a lot of information and just tools that they can utilize right in the hand, right in the palm of their hands.
Yeah, so, or even on their iPad. They can pull up both, have the app downloaded and have the web version. The web version has a little more capabilities than the app, but as they're fine-tuning the app and adding more features, we can see how that might change in the future. Yeah,
seems as we have different software releases, it just keeps getting better and better, and makes our lives a lot easier as well as our customers.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Farmcast. Feel free to like, subscribe, and let us know if you're using the Operations Center.